Hey everyone, it's what a bad start, right? Hey everyone, it's 7 o'clock on a Tuesday night, and where else would I be but here with you? DJ Stutz here with Little Hearts Academy and Imperfect Heroes podcast. And I am in beautiful Reno, and with two of my grandkids are here. We're going to be staying with them while their parents go off. You've got one in the background there. That's Iggy. And hey, remember we talked about being quiet, right? Okay. Anyway, so yeah, the smoke here has been pretty much unbearable. You could barely see across the parking lot to the stores that were on the other side of the parking lot yesterday. Today's been really nice, but you can see the smoke is blowing in. So we're gonna have a smoky evening, I guess, but that's okay too. I wanted to talk to you today about sleep. So that's what my episode is on, and it's with Becca Campbell, and she is a sleep specialist, and especially pediatric sleep. So she works with families with kids 5 and under, including newborn infants, and helps families get their children the rest that they need. And parents, you get to have rest too. Woohoo! Isn't that fun? And one of the things that she said that I thought was super amazing was that when new moms are getting the sleep that they need, so a minimum of 6 hours straight, I know, in the night, that there is far less incidences of postpartum depression, or at least it is, the intensity is lessened. And so you're able to feel better, you're able to be a better mom to your kids, and your kids are doing better too. Your children need that sleep. It is so important. And so is it possible to get a little one to sleep? Now there's a lot of controversy as I've been doing research and getting ready for this episode about sleep training infants. But I think the way that she does it is right on. So if you want to hear about that, at least what her experiences are and how she helps families, you're going to want to listen to the episode. But I think I'm coming around on that. I was lucky. My kids were sleepers, and so that makes it, pretty cool, pretty good. And so my kids are having way too much fun with me. So anyway, they slept really nicely. And in fact, all of my kids took naps through kindergarten. And kindergarten was half day back in the day. And so it was easy for us to get them home, take a nap. My oldest, Candace, was in the afternoon, but she would still come home and sleep for an hour. And she had a very easy evening. A lot of kids outgrow their need for a nap, around 3 or 4. But I even had one. In fact, I'm at her house helping with her kids, but she took a nap all the way through first grade. And so she would come home, get off the bus. That year, it was kind of cool. The bus stop was actually in my driveway. And so she would come off, get out, and at the beginning, we'd try and say, okay, let's get homework done or whatever. And I would leave the room for a little bit, and I would come in and she was asleep at the table. And so, you learn, you pay attention to your kids, you see what their needs are. And so we learned that she really did need to come home, lay down for an hour, and then she was up and ready to go. She could go play for a little bit and then come in and do her homework. But every kid is different. And so some kids outgrow that, earlier on. So then there's the issue of if your child is in childcare, it's very interesting that most states, in fact, I think every state, if they're there for more than 5 hours, 5 hours seems to be the cutoff. If they're there for more than 5 hours, they are required to have a nap. And that's all the way up through until they start kindergarten. So if you have a child that just barely missed the cutoff date, so let's say the cutoff date in most states is around October 1st, and even if they have a birthday October 2nd, schools are not going to let them in generally, at least public schools. Private schools, you can work around that. But with the public schools, even if it's the 2nd, most of the time they're not going to let your child in. And so you've got a 5-year-old for a whole year going to a preschool or a child care facility. There's another kid in the back. And then they've totally outgrown the nap. And so it can become an issue. Well, Rebecca has these great ideas on how to work with your child care, things that you can do to come up with compromise. So many great ideas in the podcast, so I hope you're listening to that. There are 2 things, though, that I thought were really huge takeaways in helping your kids sleep through the night. So first off, I guess the question is, how much sleep do they need? And the surprising thing is, even in kindergarten, they are needing about 11 hours, even 12, of sleep. Of course, that's going to vary from child to child, but really, it's not going to get much shorter than that. So what are you going to do? And especially, what if you have older kids that are off to football practice or piano lessons or ice skating lessons? That's where I was with my granddaughter earlier today, and karate. We just got back from karate with the kids. So what are you going to do if you have kids that are off, older kids that are off doing these things, but you've got this little guy that really needs to be in bed by 7:30? Yeah, they need to be in bed by 7:30. Isn't that crazy? But that's what they need. So when I've been coaching and I'm talking with a family and they're having some behavior problems, some academic issues, I help on those things as well. One of the first things I ask them is, how much sleep are they getting? Because when they get enough sleep, behavior issues get better. Of course, kids are kids. They're going to have behavior issues from time to time, but not the constant, screaming and yelling and tantrums and refusals and all of that. They are going to do much better with that when they're getting the sleep that they need. They're better able to learn how to read and write and to do math and numbers and get all of those executive functioning things that they really, really need. The social things, they're going to get all of that much better and more consistently when they're getting the sleep that they need. And they need that about 11 hours of sleep within 24 hours. So here's the deal. If they're taking a nap during that time, within that 24 hours, then that takes away from the need at night, right? So you can maybe, instead of 11 hours, now it's 10 because they slept for an hour. Or if they sleep for 2 hours. And I know in Colorado, many of the preschool child cares, full day preschools, that kind of thing, will require a 2-hour nap. And so that's kind of hard for some of these kids that they're over it. Can you imagine just having to sit there for 2 hours and never falling asleep? She has some great ideas for that. She really does. But you can take that 2 hours or 1 hour, whatever it is that they're sleeping, and you take that off of the total that they need at night. And so that might be one of the answers, is if you can get them to take a nap, or they're taking a nap at their childcare, and you've got to run brother or sister to whatever, then you can make that so instead of 7:30, maybe they're not going to bed until 8 or 8:30. So you've got a little more time. Another complaint that I hear is, I'm working so hard. This is my time for my kid. I want to have those connections and stuff. They need that sleep. And so what you're going to do is you're going to make those connections with the routine and moving through that routine every night. And so, you're helping them. You're sitting and eating with them and eating. You're brushing their teeth and doing their bathroom routines, and it's the exact same every night. And then you go on in, and I don't know if you do prayers, but you can do prayers with them. You sit and read with them and snuggle with them. That's a great time to maybe sit and talk to them about their day, how it went, because it's peaceful and quiet, and we're not bustling about trying to get dinner done or run around. That's a great time to talk to them about what was going on with them in their lives, And so you can do that. It's just part of that routine is there. So one of the takeaways that I got was commitment. Are you committed to getting your child the sleep that they need? And trust me, they need it. And so there's that commitment piece. Another piece of the takeaways is if you don't have boundaries during the day, you're not going to have boundaries during the night. And so they're going to constantly be getting up. I need this, I need that. They're going to get up and play with their toys, in their bedroom as soon as you close the door. All of those things are going on. But think about, are you having the boundaries? So does no mean no, right? Do they understand that these are the lines that we don't cross? You don't get out of bed, but I'm going to stay with you, and it's okay for you to have that. What a lovely time. Those are some of my most precious times with my little guys. I had even Christian, who is Mr. ADHD and all around. Sometimes I'd be reading, and you have to have a limit, right? I don't care if it's 5 books, but okay, this is number 1. This is number 2. They know the end is coming. How many books do we read every night? And maybe 1 is suffice. That's great for your family. Maybe it needs to be 5. So you're going to have to start your bedtime routines a little earlier to adjust for that. But it does work. And let me tell you, it helps your kids. So their bodies heal themselves when they're sleeping. So we know when they're sick, they need to rest. We stay at home. We let them sleep, and that's kind of how we know they're sick, isn't it? Not faking it. Is because if they're sick, their body knows it needs sleep to heal. They need sleep to grow. That's when your children will grow, is during the night when the muscles are relaxed and all of that. In fact, there's a fantastic book, and I am having her on soon, but I'll give you a preview. Her name's Rebecca as well, Rebecca Lindley, and she has a book, The Growing Bed, and that is a book about how they got their little guy to stay in his own bed and not come to mom and dad's bed, because there's only a bed that's growing, that's your growing bed, and that's their bed. Mom and dad are done growing. We don't have a growing bed, right? This bed is the growing bed. And so if you want to get taller, if you want to be able to do things, reach things, go on some rides at a park or whatever, and you need to get taller, yeah, as soon as you get tall enough. But how do you grow? You need your sleep to grow. And it's a great little book. It's a picture book. Anyway, we'll talk about it more when I have her on in a few weeks. But there are tons of little things that you can do. Now, we also talk about what if you can't get around it? And, you've got to get them, and it conflicts with your younger child's, or even your younger 2 kids or whatever, their needed sleep. Maybe that's part of how you decide whether they're going to be in a sport or an activity is, are we going to get home in time for them to get enough sleep? Sleep is so important. And then think about yourself. Wouldn't you love it if you had the kids in bed at 7:30 and you had from 7:30 until you go to bed to sit with your sweetheart and, reconnect, or, get some work done, get some cleaning maybe done, read a book, watch your favorite show, and you can just debrief from the day, and you have that chance to calm down. That is self-care. And so now you're getting the kids what they need, and you're getting what you need. Your sweetheart's getting what they need because you have the time to do it. And so I hope you listen to the podcast. It's fantastic. And then next week I have Mark Taylor from jolly old England, and he has a podcast called Education on Fire, and we are talking about ways that the community can be involved in education, and then what that brings to the community with kids' attitudes, with how they connect what they're learning to what they are doing and what they love. And so it's a great episode too. But for this week, I really want you to watch, or not watch, because you can't watch, but you can listen to the podcast, imperfectheroespodcast.com, or you can find it on any of the formats that you enjoy listening to podcasts. Remember to give us a 5-star review, and let's find joy in parenting. See you next time.